Good morning.
Good morning, sir.
Hope you guys slept well.
We thank God, sir.
Okay, I think we have just about 7%. We'll give ourselves up to 7, up to
So we didn't hear you. You were giving an instruction. I didn't hear the instruction, sir.
He said we have logged in 7 participants, so we should wait for more people to join.
hello.
Hi, sir.
Are we together?
We are
Yes,
together,
sir.
sir.
Okay, so we'll give ourselves 10 minutes for others to join, then we can start.
Okay.
All right.
So, sir,
All right,
now
thank
it's 10:05. So, are we coming back 10 or 15 or 10:15?
By 10:15, we can be back.
It's okay, sir. 10:15. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Yeah.
Madam Busukumaden, good morning.
From 6 by entrance. See,
I'm not hearing anything. Am I the only one or we're just silent?
it's a general phenomenon. The class is silent.
Which means the lecturer is not yet here. Okay. Thank you, sir.
Mute now.
Okay, good morning.
Good morning,
Good
sir.
morning, sir.
Good morning, sir.
Hope you guys slept well.
Good morning, sir.
Yes, sir, we did.
Very
Welcome
well.
to.
And you?
I'm fine. Thank God.
Good morning, sir.
Good morning. Silas, good morning.
Morning, sir.
Today is the last lab of our lecture series for SST 809 Psychopathology. And today we'll be taking childhood disorders, and we'll also be taking social standards interventions in psychopathology. So we'll take the first component between now and 12, and we'll take the last component when we resume from our break. At the end of the lecture, we're going to have an assessment that we will do and we will submit. I hope we're together.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir, we are together.
Okay, so yesterday, can somebody give us a recap of what we did yesterday?
So those of us who they think say my colleague had to say now I don't get money. I don't think the money is the problem. First and foremost, what do you want to do?
Can someone give us a recap of what we did yesterday? Okay, yesterday we took a look at sexual disorders, and we say they are classified into two: sexual dysfunctions, and we also have paraphilia. We were able to look at causes of sexual dysfunction and sexual disorders, and how they can also be treated. I think this was the hallmark of our last part of the lecture, right?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
The network affected the ending part of our lecture, where we're taking contributions from the class. Can we take those contributions before we proceed? I think Doshma was making a contribution when the network went back. Is she in the class? Okay, she's not yet in the class. When she comes to the class, we'll be able to take her contributions. We're going to take a look at childhood disorders. You remember when are we together?
Yes, sir,
Yes,
we
sir,
are
well-
with you.
We are together, sir.
Okay, we remember when we began this class, we were discussing,
Sir, good morning, sir.
good morning, classification of psychopathology. And we were able to say that psychopathology or psychotic or mental disorders are classified broadly into two classifications: the serious mental disorders and the mild mental disorders. And we're able to put them into a classification of psychosis and neurosis. And we say psychosis is actually a major form of mental health and mental disorders, because an individual who is affected by any of these classes of disorder, or any type of disorder that is classified under psychotic disorder, lost touch with reality. He manifests, or he presents, or he comes down with symptoms like hallucinations, which we say they are false perceptual beliefs without external clue or external stimulus. And we say that hallucinations are pattern according to our 5 senses of sight, sense of smell, sense of hearing, sense of taste, and sense of touch. And all of them have names ascribed to them. And they say when the individual presents with symptoms of hallucinations where he's seeing things that only him are seeing, or only him or them are seeing, we call it visual hallucinations. And when he hears voices that are peculiar to him and not any other person, we see auditory hallucinations. We say when he perceives smells that is peculiar to him, we call that gustatory hallucinations. And when he feels crawling sensations that are peculiar to him, we call that tactile hallucinations. When he tests things that are peculiar to him, we call that olfactory hallucinations. And we say that these individuals who have lost touch with reality come down with symptoms of hallucinations. He also comes down with symptoms of delusions, which we say they are false beliefs that are peculiar to the individual alone. We made mention of delusions of grandiosity. We made mention of paranormal. We made mention of other symptoms that they come down with, like distorted speech and thought, and also distortion in psychomotor agility. We notice flat affect. We notice echolalia, speech, word salad. When individuals come down with these symptoms or present these symptoms, we can classify them to have psychotic disorders because they are major forms of disorders. And these symptoms we have just mentioned, highlighted here, we see that these symptoms are positive symptoms of mental disorders, and they are very difficult to treat. On the other hand, we mentioned neurotic disorders, and we say that individuals, their reality is intact, but they can also experience forms of anxiety. It can be generalized anxiety, it can be obsessions, it can be compulsions, as the case may be. Now, all the other forms of disorders we have discussed in the course of this lecture series are classified under these 2 major forms of disorders. Now, either they are major disorders or they are mild disorders. And yesterday we were able to take a quick run through sexual disorders. This morning we'll be focusing on disorders that affect children. That does not invalidate the fact that other disorders we have discussed earlier on do affect or do not affect children. Every category of person is affected by these disorders. But specifically, we want to focus our discussions this morning on childhood disorders. Are we together?
Yes, sir, we are
Yes, sir.
together.
Yes, sir.
So we have a list of childhood disorders that we're going to discuss. That does not mean that the disorders we are discussing here are the only childhood disorders. There is a long list of childhood disorders, but I have selected few of them that we will discuss for the purpose of this class. And because of time, you can go to read other childhood disorders as they are contained in the Diagnostic Manual of Mental Disorders or in the International Classification of Diseases, ICD. This morning, I want to draw attention to the fact that when we talk about childhood disorders, they encompass that it's not just one disorder, but they encompass a wide range of conditions that affect a child's development, that affects a child's behavior, and affects a child's mental health. Every child that is born into the family is expected to pass through a developmental stage. Now, at the time of conception, the there is mitotic and meiotic division of cells. Now, by the 8th week of pregnancy, there is a division that gives us what we call an embryo. Now, development of a child begins at that stage where conception has taken place. Now, I want to be very quick to say that whatsoever behavioral manifestations or behavioral characteristics we put forth has the tendency to affect that child at that stage of development. Now, it affects him into what we are referring to as childhood disorders. As we progress, we'll begin to understand how our lifestyle, how our behaviors tend to affect a child that results into childhood disorder at the time of formation. But remember that at 8 weeks of pregnancy, at 8 weeks, there is meiosis and meiosis, mitosis and meiosis divisions takes place. Now, the segregation first is into 4, into 8, giving room to the formation of various components of the individual. The skull, the hands, the legs, the stomach begin to be segregated at this point in time. By the 12 to 16 week, you'll notice that organs begins to develop. And at this point, whatsoever behavior the mother puts forth has a capacity of affecting the child's mental health. Are we together?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Okay. So these disorders can impact various aspects of a child's life, beginning with their social interaction, their academic performance, and their overall well-being. Now, mental health disorders in children can be very difficult to identify. Now, when something is difficult to identify, treatment also becomes inappropriate. Why? Because there is a tendency you may confuse these disorders to delay development of the child. So it makes early onset of treatment difficult. But the earlier they can be identified and begin treatment, the better the outcome of that child's mental health, social interaction, academic performance, and overall well-being. Commonly this morning, we'll be looking at some forms of anxiety disorders in children. We'll be looking at attention deficit and hyperactive disorders in children. We'll be looking at autism spectrum disorder and mood disorders. These are just a handful of childhood disorders in children. So childhood disorders are typically identified as exhibiting significant changes in behavior. And what are those significant changes you begin to look at? You begin to look at the aspect of emotional regulation. It is expected that as a child begins to grow, he has control over his emotions and he regulates how he exhibits his emotions. If we go back to look at Sigmund Freud's theory of personality called the psychodynamic theory of personality, he was able to subdivide personality into three components. He called one the id, he called the other the ego, and he called the other one the superego. Now, all these personality dynamics, manifest at different ages of the child. Now, they show progression of child's development from one stage to another. Now, a child who is between 0 to 2 years is at the id component of his personality trait, where they are engaged in very selfish behaviors. So you will notice that at that age between 0 to 2 years, the child engages in sucking. So he derives pleasure from sucking the tongue, the feeding bottle, the mother's breast, the lips, and all of that. And you will notice that as he progresses, he becomes selfish. He doesn't care whether the mom is hungry, he needs to suck breast. He doesn't care whether there is food at home, he needs to eat food. He doesn't care whether the mother's body is dirty, he wants the mother to hold him. That's the selfish nature of that child. As he progresses into the next stage, which we call the ego, you will notice that he is egocentric. He is concerned about his welfare. Everything that he sees at that time belongs to him, whether it is what you hold. You say, it's my team, mommy, he's seeing my team, he's carrying my team. Then you notice that gradually this child is progressing from one level of development to another. Now, one way you can also be able to know that there are developmental challenges with the child is his inability to regulate his emotions at certain ages as he develops in life. You also notice that his social skills will not be up to his age and up to children of his age. And then you come to the aspect of cognitive development. Jean Piaget, a cognitive development specialist, has developed a theory of development called the Jean Piaget theory of development. He spoke about the sensory stage. He spoke about the sensory motor stage, the pre-concept stage, the concrete operational stage, which shows that from one stage of development to another, the child is able to respond to sensory stimulus, is able to understand concept, is able to understand concrete operations. Now, these stages shows you that the child is developing, and he has a normal stage of development. Now, where these are lacking, it is an indication to the fact that the child is having some developmental challenges. Are we together?
Yes, sir, we are together.
Are we understanding to this point? Have we understood to this point?
Yes, sir.
Okay,
Yes,
so
very well.
these changes, for them to qualify you to diagnose an individual or a child to have developmental challenges or childhood disorder, they must occur frequently over a long period of time. And not just occurring frequently, they must also cause that child significant distress, and they must impact his daily functioning. And what are this child's daily functioning? His ability to eat, his ability to communicate, his ability to interact with other children. So the delays or disruption in behavior, emotional regulations and thinking, and the child's social skills will be noticed both at home, in school, and other social settings. So when you take a child to an amusement park or a child's park where other children are playing and is unable to interact, not because he's shy, but because he desires but he cannot express those skills or those characteristics, then you begin to suspect that, begin to think of assessing that child or any form of the childhood disorders as we discussed them this morning. So this morning we'll look at some common childhood disorders, and the first one we're going to look at is called ADHD, Attention Deficit and Hyperactive Disorder. Attention Deficit and Hyperactive Disorder. Now, attention deficit. When we say something is deficit, we're saying that there is something wrong with it, or it is short of the standard, isn't it? Are we together?
It is, sir. We are together.
Okay, so when we say attention is deficit, we're simply saying a child cannot pay attention commensurate to his age. And when we talk about hyperactivity, hyper means there is an increase that is beyond normal. So yes, hyperactivity disorder, the child is is too active beyond, his age. It is a disorder. So attention deficit and hyperactive disorder compared to other children, children with this disorder experience difficulties with attention. They find it very difficult to pay attention. When you are given instructions, they will not be able to, they will not be able to comprehend. They will not pay attention, and they will lose details of these instructions. They have difficulty focusing or concentrating. They are hyperactive. They cannot be able to sit down and concentrate. They cannot be able to stand in one place and concentrate. Or there can be a combination of these attributes we are mentioning here. But when do you say a child is hyperactive? The symptoms must be significant enough to impact the daily functioning of this child in the home, in the school, or in other social settings. Are we together?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
So, attention deficit is different from when a child is playing and you have called him away from that play to send him to do an errand and he forgets. It is not attention deficit and hyperactive disorder. When we were growing up in those days and we were playing street ball, and we will be called off by our parents to go and buy items or some of the needed ingredients in the shop, and they will give you money and they will give you all the instructions. Because you are thinking of how you wanted to score a goal and what you are missing in the street ball. You go to the shop and you end up either buying the wrong thing or forgetting what you have been asked to buy. So we later developed an approach of remembering what we want to buy. So for instance, you are given 100 naira to go and buy onions, 20 naira. You are going to buy Maggi, 30 naira. You are going to buy pepper, let's say 50 naira. And you hold the money and say, buy onions, 20 naira. Buy Maggi, 30 naira. Buy pepper, 50 naira. So that you get to that point without forgetting what you are asked to buy.
You sing, now, you sing with it.
You sing with it until you get to that point. So when you get to that point, and the man is asking you, what do you want? Buy Maggi, 30 naira. Buy onions, 20 naira. Buy pepper, 50 naira. So that, once you lose track of that, you forget. Your mind is somewhere. We cannot say that such an act can be classified as attention deficit. But when we talk about attention deficit, we are emphasizing that the child has difficulty paying attention to instructions. He is so hyperactive that he forgets the details, that even when you repeat it again, you will notice obviously that he is unable to comprehend, to hold the details of the discussions. And this inability to hold details of this instruction is impacting his daily functioning. So you will notice that daily routines of that child become difficult for him to follow. And this is noticed at home. It is also noticed in school by the teacher, and it's also observed when he is in a social setting. You will notice that he is exhibiting those characteristics. So the attention deficit and hyperactive disorder is characterized by difficulty in paying attention to details and making careless mistakes that ordinarily a child shouldn't have made. So this caliber of children are easily distracted by external stimulus or their own thoughts. So in a class, they are easily distracted by a sound that has been made somewhere else, or they are easily distracted by their own shoes, or they are easily distracted by, a bird or a figure or an imagination that has popped up in their subconscious. And you will notice that they appear not to listen when spoken to. So as often as you speak to them, they are unable to listen. You notice them fidgeting, they are restless, and they are unable to sit still. When you say sit here, by the time you blink, the child is off, he is somewhere else. So when you notice some of these characteristics, they are pointing to the fact that the child is suffering from attention deficit and hyperactive disorder. There is excessive talking and interrupting others. In a group where you have a visitor and you are talking, you will notice that the child is talking, maybe talking off when he is talking. And he's also interrupting you and also interrupting others while they are making they are also talking. They have difficulty engaging in quiet activities. You notice children engage in quiet activities. A recent psychosocial theory of personality, the stage 2 of that conflict theory, talks about industry creativity, industry versus doubt. Now, the child at this age is able to come up with creative ideas, fold papers, make wristwatches, fold papers, make caps, and they sit quietly and you notice them doing these things. They are industrious. And when they are doing these things, you notice they are quiet. They sit in a quiet place and they are doing their activities. Now, children who suffer from attention deficit and hyperactive disorder find it very difficult in engaging in quiet activities. They act without thinking, blotting out answers, or interrupting others. So when you notice these signs, when you notice these symptoms, they qualify a child to be diagnosed to have been suffering from attention deficit and hyperactive disorder. Are we together?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Yes, we are together, sir.
Have we understood to this point?
Yes, sir.
Can we make progress?
Very well, sir.
Okay,
Sir.
so next we are going to look at anxiety disorders. Just like adults experience anxiety, children also have experienced their own form of anxiety. And for children, it may appear in terms of frequent worries, fears, or, they are apprehensive about things around them. And it affects their daily functioning. The anxiety may include generalized anxiety. It may include separation or social anxiety or obsessive compulsive behaviors. You notice them having anxiety over every other thing or every person. They're anxious about who that person is. They are afraid, they're so fearful, and they don't want to relate. Now, separation or social anxiety sets in when you will notice that at a certain age, a child should be able to stretch forth his hand for somebody else to hold him. Becoming used to people around, that you will notice that child is afraid of getting to other persons to hold him and gluing onto his parents. There are forms of anxiety that affects children. The first type of anxiety disorder in children that we're going to look at is the separation anxiety disorder, just like we mentioned earlier on, the separation anxiety disorder. Separation is normal. Every child at a certain point is going to be separated from the parents. Now, this separation starts from where there is a nanny and the parent figure is expecting the nanny to hold the child, that the child build a relationship with the nanny. Such that when the nanny holds the child should also feel comfortable. That the child should also be able to be acquainted with other children around within the household or within the environment and be able to relate with them and play with them and feel safe and comfortable with them when even the mother is around but busy doing other things, and even when the parent figure is not around. It is an important phase in early childhood development. It begins in most children between the ages of 8 to 12 months. Now, at this point in time, separation becomes more frequent because the child has developed to a point that the mother can be able to leave him. The child is sitting, the child is able to walk around. So with normal separation anxiety, the child should be able to fear strangers and not feel safe when they are around. But the child is expected to be comfortable with the people he sees around every day in the house. But, you know, if the child continuously does not feel safe even with the people around, you know, he's going to express or experience separation anxiety. Separation anxiety does not last longer than necessary in a child, but it usually gets better by the time the child enters preschool. He's able to, you know, relate with the teacher. He's able to relate with the other children. So separation anxiety disorder becomes more extreme and continues beyond this typical development period. So by the time a child gets into preschool stage and he is not getting used to teachers, children around, and children within the house, then you know that separation anxiety is getting worse. So kids may be worried about parents or other family members. They may have difficulty going to school or being away from home or family generally, or they may have difficulty separating for sleep. So before they sleep, they will expect that mommy must sleep here, I must touch mommy, I must place my hands on my mommy's body, I must be sure that my mommy or my daddy is lying beside me before I sleep. You notice that the child's separation anxiety is getting worse and you need help at this point in time. Are we together?
Yes, sir, we are together.
Have we
Yes,
understood
sir.
to this point?
Yes, sir.
Yes.
Then we have what is called autism spectrum disorder as a form of childhood disorder. Autism spectrum disorder is a neurodevelopmental disorder. When we say neurodevelopmental disorder, our emphasis is that the neurons, the nerve cells are affected or they are malfunctioning and they result to this disorder. It presents itself in a child at the age of 3. It varies in severity and looks different between individuals. But typically, whether it's manifesting this way or other, the common thing that is noticeable with children with autism spectrum disorder is their inability to communicate properly. They have problems with communication. They lack communication skills. They have difficulty socializing with others, and they are unable to control their emotions or regulate their emotions. Are we on the same page?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Is that
Yes, sir.
understood?
Yes, sir.
Then we also have eating disorders in children. In children, we look at eating disorders as preoccupation with food, body image, or an ideal body type. Having a disordered thinking about weight and weight loss, and on self-eating and dieting habits that can be harmful and even life-threatening. So you will notice that such children are preoccupied with food. If they see biscuit, they have it. They are also having their own bread. They are taking their own tea. All this food they are eating, irrespective of the dangers of that food, of that food to their body. They have weight issues. For others, eating disorders does not necessarily mean that there is overeating. Eating disorders also can mean that a child is refusing to eat. So he is losing weight, he is emaciating, he does not care. Are we together?
Yes, sir.
So this can lead to emotional, social, and physical dysfunction of the child. Is that understood?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Right. I want us to also look at another childhood disorder called fetal alcohol spectrum disorder. Fetal alcohol spectrum disorder. The word fetal is gotten from the word fetus. Do you know what a fetus is? A fetus is?
Yes, sir.
What's a fetus?
Yes, sir.
A child in the
What's a
stomach.
fetus?
An unborn child that is still in the mother's womb.
An unborn child that is still in the mother's womb. Now, a child develops from an embryo to a zygote into a fetal, isn't it? There are
Yes.
3 stages of development of a
So
child.
we didn't get that aspect. The network skipped.
Okay. That there are 3 stages of development a child passes through. He begins as an embryo. Are we together?
Yes, sir. We're following you.
He begins as an embryo. He develops into a zygote. He gets into a fetal. At the fetal stage, the child is up to 7 months and can be delivered at that point in time under threatening conditions and incubated. It means at this stage, you can look at the physical structure of a human being. So he progresses from that stage and he is delivered. Now, there are disorders that affect this child at this stage. And these disorders are coming as a result of some of the behavioral aspect of living of the parent. Hence, it is called fetal alcohol spectrum disorders. Now, it is a spectrum disorder, spectrum because it is a broad, it has so many things coming together to affect the child. It's a combination of several other disorders. Now, it happens to a child, or a child develops this disorder because the birth parent is consuming alcohol during pregnancy. The birth parent is consuming alcohol during pregnancy. So also known as FAST, these conditions may cause a number of side effects for the growing fetus and the baby. And what are the noticeable signs? You will notice that there is going to be low birth weight. A child is giving birth and he has a low weight. The average weight of every born child should be 2.5 kg.
Yes, sir.
Normal birth weight. A child who
Yes.
is less than that has low body weight. For the fact that fetal alcohol spectrum disorder or results to low birth weight does not mean that every low birth weight is attributed to fetal alcohol syndrome. No. But one thing that is noticeable is that the child comes with low birth weight. And that is why as mothers, you will notice that when consistently during antenatal, your child's weight is being observed, you will notice the doctor asking you questions such as, do you take alcohol? You know, for those of you who are mothers and have experienced this, you will know.
That's true, sir.
Then you also know that there are non-typical facial features. The face is distorted. You will notice that an alcoholic has specific features that you look at his face and you know that this person drinks. He has an alcoholic face. For some, the face is rough. For some, the eyes are red. For some, you will notice patches on their faces depending on the type of alcohol beverage they are taking. So some of these children also are born with vision and hearing problems. And they also have cognitive difficulties. Cognitive difficulties in the sense that there is maldevelopment or malfunctioning of brain cells. So the ability to reason is impaired by the effect of the alcohol. You know that a child in the mother's womb feeds through the umbilical cord. So whatsoever a mother takes gets to the child in a semi-permeable state. And there are also executive functioning challenges. The alcohol, the fetal alcohol spectrum disorder has a list of other disorders attached to it. Remember, I told you that it is a spectrum because it is a combination of so many other disorders. For instance, we have the fetal alcohol syndrome. We have the alcohol-related birth defects. We have alcohol-related neurodevelopment disorder. And we have neurobehavioral disorder associated with prenatal alcohol exposure. So for parents who take alcohol, you will notice that you are not just doing yourself harm, but you are also doing the unborn child great disservice. Are we together?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Is this understood to this point where we are?
Yes, sir.
Yes.
Can we make progress?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Another form of disorder, it's the conduct disorder. We have the conduct disorder. The conduct disorder. Children with conduct disorder often have emotional and behavioral problems. These problems include oppositional defiant disorder. What do we mean by oppositional defiance disorder? They oppose others, they are unkind to others. They seek their own pleasure and not the pleasure of others. They derive pleasure by hurting others. They do not show empathy, and they have difficulty in following rules. You will notice that in our discussion of personality disorders, you will notice in our discussion of narcissistic personality disorders, you will begin to see traits of a narcissistic personality in children with conduct disorder. So these kind of children are often referred to as bad and misbehaved children. But in reality, conduct disorder is a kind of mental illness that needs to be treated. Do we understand?
Yes, sir. We have it.
Yes, sir.
Can I proceed?
Yes, sir.
So what causes...
Sir,
yes.
Excuse me, sir.
Yes, John. I'm with you. Hello, John. Hello.
So if Jack cannot be connected, I think I should ask my question, sir.
Okay, you can go ahead when John is able to connect.
Okay. Okay, John is on.
Is having network glitches at this.
I like it. yes, in the area I live, I see there is a particular child that yes, can you hear me, sir?
I'm with you.
You can go back and
Yes, I
say
can hear
it
you, sir.
again. We
Yes,
don't
I'm
hear
with
you.
you. I can hear you. John, are you there?
He's battling with network.
Okay, Jiba, you wanted to ask a question before John came up.
Okay,
You can also send your questions in the chat box and we can respond to them.
okay. There is this disorder from you say a mother carrying the pregnancy when the parent is taking alcohol. So my question is, if the mother who is carrying the baby before delivery is not taking alcohol or any substance at all, but the father takes alcohol, so can this father send the message to the mother? Would it affect the baby? Because the whole thing is genetic. Can the father send the message and the conception will bear the consequences after discussing here? That's my question, sir. Thank you.
Okay, the father cannot send a message. At the time the father is sending a message, conception has not taken place. And when conception takes place, if you look at the human reproductive system, at the time of ovulation, you know that the right egg begins a journey from the fallopian tube down into the uterus. The message the father sends travels as far as either as far as fertilizing that egg. Where it is fertilized into the fallopian tube, it takes a journey into the uterus, or as it gets into the uterus, it is fertilized. After fertilization, there are some divisional developmental work that takes place. It is that division that we call meiosis and mitosis. The meiotic division shows that the cell that fertilized ovum divides itself into four. It divides into 2, it divides into 4, it divides into 8, it divides into 16. Meiosis 4, mitosis 8, 16, and then different body parts begin to form. And while we were discussing fetal alcohol spectrum disorder, our emphasis was on the birth parent. And who is the birth parent? The mother is the birth parent we are talking about here. Yes. So the birth parent, if the birth parent is taking alcohol, it has the tendency to affect the neurodevelopment of the unborn child. Are we together?
Yes,
Working in progress. Yes, sir.
We are with you, sir.
I have a question.
Any other question?
Yes, I have a question, sir.
Yes.
Morning, sir.
Morning.
My question is about attention deficit and hyperactive children.
Okay, your question is on attention deficit disorder.
Yes, sir.
So what is it?
These kind of children that are very hyperactive, is there any specific exercise that can be done to help them slow down the activities? And secondly, my question also, we have watched a lot of videos that says frequent exposure to television, tabs, and all other children video games and all that could also help to make children very hyperactive. How true is that statement, sir?
Yes. it's these are two sides of the same coin. Why video games can make children hyperactive. They can also be a form of treatment for the children to be able to be composed and concentrate.
Wow.
Now, you will notice that Albert Bandura, in his social learning theory, has said that every child is born with a blank mind.
Yes.
He called that tabula rasa.
Tabula rasa, yes.
Yeah, he said, give me 10 children, and I will train one to be an engineer, one to be a pastor, one to be a doctor, one to be a chief, one to be a pilot, and in all the different professions. So a child who is born into the environment comes with a blank mind. The environment begins to imprint on that mind. What the environment imprints on that mind, it's what that child gonna be. Now, if a child is introduced to video games that are rough, that child grows up believing that that's the normal way of living. And that is why parenting is a very difficult task. It requires parents to moderate what a child is watching on the telly with the realities of life and the parent expectation of who that child will be. So why on the other way around can be a form of treatment? On the other way around, it can also be a source of hyperactivity. Both ways. So if you go to autism treatment centers, you will notice that games form part of their treatment plan. So you can take a walk to the special needs school in the teaching hospital, and then you will the Benue State University Teaching Hospital, and then you will see the components of their learning aids. And you will notice that games are also a form of treatment, but they can also, for some, be a form. For those who don't have autism, it can also be a challenge to them. I don't know if I've responded to your question.
Yes, you have, sir.
Okay.
Thank you, sir.
You're welcome. So we're looking at causes of conduct disorder.
Hello, Doc.
Yes.
Doc, sir, there was a question I asked earlier on the platform.
Okay, ma. Yes.
Yes. I also sent you one other question. Please, could you please go through it so that we can see?
Okay, you've sent it on the chat?
Yes.
As he's going through the question on the chat, can I please ask a question?
Yes, you can go ahead.
Thank you so much, sir. You spoke about the development of the child. You gave an example of Sigma Freud, id, ego, and superego.
Yes.
Now, my question is, we understand that children have age to which they develop. So when they reach a particular age and a particular thing is not noticed, we may infer without maybe proper diagnosis that this is the type of thing that child is going through. The question is, at what age will we be able to know that if at this age the child is not exhibiting attentive or deficiency hyperactivity?
Yes, attention and hyper activity
disorder. So at what age, when such is not noticed, we know that, okay, he's very okay. Or if we see it, then we know that, okay, this is what is happening. And then we begin to look at the treatment to that.
Okay, there is no specific age you can look at, but you can notice attention and hyperactive disorder in a child when a child begins to walk, when a child begins to understand simple commands. If you look at the Jean Piaget theory, the child is under sensory motor stage, 0 to 18 months. The child is able to respond to stimulus. Now, you begin to notice, but it is very difficult for you to identify at that stage because for every growing child, you have few children who have come with a calm personality. They are introverts, so you will not see them playing around. But at the age of 2, you should be able to know whether a child has attention deficit and hyperactive disorder. You begin to notice these signs and you have to observe them. Does he have difficulty paying attention to your instructions? Because at the age of the 2, the child should be able to respond to stop, don't touch, isn't it? When you say stop, don't touch, and the child is touching and must insist to touch, and that is consistent, you know it's not normal, isn't it?
Yes.
Hello,
you know
Doc.
it's not normal.
Okay.
And you are speaking to the child and he's not listening. You are talking to a child at the age of 2 and he behaves as if you are not talking to him. It's not normal. There are normal behavioral expectations of a child at a certain age. There are normal deviant behaviors you expect in a child at a certain age.
Yes.
So when those manifestations are beyond the normal, you need to seek help.
Thank you so much.
Okay, like Doc, sir, I'm a victim
Yes.
of circumstance. Presently, I have a child who is about around 9 years and he's not working.
Who is about how many years? How many years old?
9 years.
Yes.
He can't walk, he can't talk. But do you know that we discovered this thing immediately after the mother gave birth to him, 3 days after? When I got the child was inside the room. When I got inside the room, I discovered that the child had started foam. There was a foam coming out of his mouth. So I like to screen and call the mom. Come and see what is coming out of this child. When we took this child to hospital, it was then we discovered that this child came out with a brain disorder.
Yes.
So in this case, when you were talking about it, I was wondering, how will a parent know when a child is inside the mother's womb? How would the parent know that the child is suffering from brain disorder? That's the question I wanted. The thing actually.
Okay. There are advanced radiological equipment that can also scan children in their mother's womb to ascertain their functioning.
Okay.
The advanced that some of them are not accessible in our climate here.
Okay.
Recently, in one of the developed nations, I've actually forgotten that particular nation, a mother was operated upon. The unborn child was brought out and operated upon and taken back to the mom's womb.
What?
Yes, that's advancement in technology.
I read about that. That was in UK. I read
in
about
UK,
that.
right? Yes, recently.
Yes, sir.
Now, advanced imaging like the magnetic resonance imaging can also be able to show. But the radiations of the MRI can also have an effect on the child. But there are advanced scanning machines that can be able to detect that. Now, for children with certain brain disorders, they can be discovered at childbirth. The way they look, the way they respond to stimuli points to the fact that there is something wrong with them.
That's in their mother's womb?
No, at birth, in their mother's womb, you need advanced radiological technologies to be able to do this, which most of them are not finding in our climate here.
Okay. It's all right.
Excuse me, sir.
Yes.
Sorry, doctor. My hands has been up.
Okay, sorry, Ralph.
Good morning, Doc.
Good morning, Ralph.
Sorry, let me take you back to autism disorder.
Spectrum disorder, yeah.
Has this disorder. Yeah, that he has difficulty, he or she has difficulty in communicating. I mean,
yes,
communication skills, and
socializing.
There are children that are born with tongue tight. Yeah, if not discovered, that they have difficulty in communicating. So I want to know if that tongue tight is as a result of this disorder or is genetic.
Okay, tongue tie is not a disorder. It is just a medical condition. It is expected that at birth, these are just the developmental processes that take place before a child is given birth to. The tongue loosens to a point that the child can lap his tongue. When he cries, it laps outside. Now, it is just a physiological condition where the nerves holding the tongue is not loosened completely. So what is done is you simply get to the hospital.
It is called palate.
Pardon? Yes, I'm listening.
I think the name is called palate.
Yes, you get a spatula and then it's just knocked off and that's all. So tongue tie is not autism. In autism, there is no tongue tie, but the child has difficulty in communicating. The focus of the main thing to look at in autism disorder is the child's ability to communicate and also socialize. Because of his inability to communicate, socialization becomes also difficult.
Sure.
Very well understood.
Okay.
Thank you.
We were looking, if there is no question, we can make progress. Yes.
There are questions. I want to also know, in this case, I was the person that told you that I had a child who's about 9 years, cannot talk, cannot walk. So in this case, what kind of treatment do we apply? Because I heard Mrs. Rose Idu saying that there are pictorial this thing when you put for children when they watch, it corrects their brain. But in this case, actually, when we went to hospital, they advised us that we should always put in cartoon for the boy to be watching. It's a boy, it's a he, which we've tried that, but yet the thing is not still actually working as expected. So in this case, sir, how do we go about this treatment, sir?
Yes, that child will be assessed to understand the type of developmental disorder he has.
Okay.
Then we can suggest exactly what can be done with him.
Okay.
Yes, he needs an assessment. He cannot walk.
In this case, maybe I should bring him to you so that you assess him.
No problem at all. No problem at all.
It's okay, sir.
It's all right. So let's look at conduct. We were discussing conduct disorder, and we say that this kind of children, we're making reference to the narcissistic personality disorder we discussed the other time. You will notice that at this age, they are unkind to others and they seek or they derive pleasure by hurting others. They don't show empathy to other children. They have difficulty following laid down instructions. And at that age, they are referred to as bad children or they are termed as misbehaved children. It is in reality, when children behave like this, it is not just normal, it is a conduct disorder and it's a kind of mental illness that child needs to be helped come out of it. And there are some causes of conduct disorder, and one of them is brain damage. At birth, when parents present with children with conduct disorders and their conduct is attributed to brain damage, parents say, no, but this child has grown well. Yes. By the time you leave children with nannies and with their younger ones, a traumatic fall that will not be noticed until the child begins to develop into from infancy to childhood, that you begin to know notice some of these characteristics. Why? The human brain cells is made up of billions of cells. Now, some of these cells cannot perform any function until a child grows to a certain level that these functions needs to be activated. So you will not notice some of these damages until the child gets to a point of concrete operation, where the brain cells need to activate these functions and begin to, perform them. So as parents, we must also be careful. We must also be careful to observe what happens to our children when we are also not around. Then we also have abuse or neglect. The issue of abuse and neglect cannot be overemphasized. Most of the times, abuse happens to children, to our own children, by, caregivers or by people whom we trust or close associates. And why, as parents, we also tend to abuse children who are close to us or who are under our care, but are not our biological children. So abuse can take, neglect can take the form of physical abuse, verbal abuse, psychological abuse. It may include, but also not limiting to, sleeping late in the night, walking without resting. So they can cause conduct disorders. So such children can decide at all that have been abused, and they want to develop a form of resistance to that which you are doing unto them. And then genetic factors can also cause conduct disorders. So misconduct can also be transferred from parents onto offspring. It is a characteristic trait of the family. Their father did this, so why won't he do it? And then traumatic events in life also result to conduct disorder. What symptoms do I need to look at to help diagnose or to diagnose a child to be suffering from conduct disorder? You will notice that the child will be bullying or threatening others, being physically unkind to others, showing no regret for misdeeds. When he is corrected over a deed, ordinarily you expect a child to say, "I'm sorry, I won't do it again." And you notice that they will never do that. They will never show any sign of remorse. They can steal items from others, running away from home, ignoring the feeling of others. They can even be hurting animals. Is there any question?
Hello,
Okay,
sir.
sir.
Yes.
Yes, I want to ask a question, not particularly on this
Conduct disorder.
children,
Yeah.
but I have this experience some years back. I lived with someone somewhere, and he was so possessive of everything. Like, if he sees this item, it is his. He sees that one. He wants to accumulate everything, even things he doesn't have need for. He will just want to get all of those things and then keep, whether he's using them or he's not using them. Where do we classify that kind of person in the context of these disorders?
He has a primitive accumulation. He has developed primitive accumulation of wealth.
Okay.
It's a primitive form of accumulation.
Okay.
Yes.
Can it be said, maybe like I was discussing with some spiritual he lost actually gave rise to the experience he was having. How true could that be? Could we say that it is due to maybe early child experience that can cause that?
Yes, I didn't get your question.
Maybe he should come again.
Hello?
Resistance.
Hello, sir. Hello,
Yes.
sir.
Yes.
Trying
Yes.
to acquire those things he was actually deprived of. So for him, it's a way of getting those things that he had no opportunity to acquire earlier. How true could that be?
Yes, it's also true. That's very true. Yes.
Okay.
That's true.
Sir, I want to talk about conduct disorder. I also want to contribute by saying, I think in conduct disorder, parents in this regards are often to blame, because you see some parents, when they give birth to a child, they don't even care. Some out of wedlock, because these are children that hardly mix with other children due to parental upbringing. Because it is expected that when a woman gives birth to a child, the father of the child and the mother, these two people should be the person to bring up this child. And the scripture said, we should bring out a child the way when the child grows, he should not depart from that way. Now, when we talk about, because from what you are saying now, critically looking to what you are saying, I've discovered that parents here have roles to play, especially the men, because when they give birth, they don't seem to care. It's only the women that care. And in the aspect where there are nothing to care, there are nothing to provide for this child, you see, the child tend to be a bastard. I mean, the child tend to be a vagabond, start misbehaving, start threatening the society with behaviors that are totally uncalled for. So in this case, please, when we talk about conduct disorder, parents should not be excluded. I don't know if you.
I agree with you.
So, Doc, to add to what he has said, I want to also suggest that parents should be placed under causes of conduct disorder, because to add to it, there are some parents that the conducts or misbehavior of their children are entirely in their hands. They are responsible. Because they love their children, they don't see any wrong in them. Whether they don't even greet their visitor, they don't care, they don't observe all those things. And at all times, they are always siding them, whether they are wrong or they are right. So such children grew and believe that whatever they do, that their parents support them, is right. And they grow up with certain behaviors that are unacceptable.
Okay, it's okay.
Hello, sir.
Yes.
Good morning, sir.
Morning.
In addition to that, I see it as over pampering. Many parents nowadays over pampers their children. That is why you see them misbehaving. And so I have a question.
Yes.
Yes, there are some children, if they misbehave, and once their parents talk to them, they will run away from home. There's any
From home.
Yes, sir. There's any remedy for that?
Okay, it has to do with parental upbringing. Now, just like Raf has suggested, that courses on conduct disorders should be taken for parents to actually understand that they also have a role to play in the management of conduct disorder. You know, there is a misconception of what love is from what proper parenting is. You know, what we do to children most of the times is not love. It is just a a gentle way of destroying the children's upbringing.
Sure.
Now, I read something on the WhatsApp. The man said every word is less than is less than, is it 100%? Is it luck? Is it hard work? But when he came to attitude, you will notice that when you look at the combination of attitude of words that have formed attitude, you know, they are up to 100%. Now, our attitude is what determines how best we're going to enjoy life. Parents need to understand that a correct attitude opens doors for children. So most of the times in the wake of showing love, we tend to destroy our children. We avoid teaching them what is correct and obtainable in a society like ours. So a child who runs away from home, it's simply because he ran away for the first time and the parents looked at it as normal. He ran away the second time and they looked at it as normal. But you know, when you look at parenting style, there is a parenting style that is suitable for our parents, the authoritarian parenting style. It gives room for the father to be angry, to correct the child, spank the child where needs be, and to sit with the child to explain to him the consequences of his own behavior or his own actions and inactions. Now, as parents, we also need to be friends unto our children, to take time to discuss with them. You know, most of the times we don't discuss with our children. We don't understand how they feel. We don't understand what are their mental challenges. We don't understand what are their physical challenges. What are their social challenges? What are their emotional challenges? You know, what are their religious challenges? You know, as parents, we need to sit and discuss as a family. There is one thing family needs to do. It is called a family meeting. A family meeting is a social, like a social meeting where a day is set aside by the parents. Meal is served and ate together collectively as a family. After that meal is being shared, the father, who is the head of the family, strips off his rights as a father and gives room for every child to discuss what he feels needs to be done in the family that will be right. And you hear children telling their father that Daddy, the way you behave, at times, we wonder whether you are our father. You know, it helps the father to also have an introspection of his conduct. Let me give you a scenario. A friend of mine, staying with his uncle, had initiated a family meeting. And while they sat in the family meeting, all the other siblings decided to keep quiet. They think that there is nothing wrong. The youngest of the children say he has some concerns. He said, Daddy, you call yourself a barrister. Me, my problem is you. You call yourself a barrister. Look at the type of phone you are using. You cannot even check what is happening online. One small phone. So is that the way other barristers behave? Don't you think you are losing your prestige as a barrister? The second thing is that when you give mommy money to go and buy things, you come back and you start inspecting those things as if when you give her money, she goes to spend it on other things and not the things you have asked her to buy. Has she been cheating you before? You know, the man received it the hard way, but that was the reality. Arising from that family meeting where other members of the family were able to air their concerns on how they can live together in a present society. You know, the man changed. The man went and bought an Android phone. If he gives the wife money, he doesn't go back to go and check the pieces of meat in the pot. He just go and check the tablets of soap the woman bought. So trust was built as a result of family meetings. So as parents, we must also be able to sit, discuss with our children and not fail to tell them this is not correct and the repercussions. Are we together?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
So can we make progress?
If children correct their parents, it will cost them more.
Okay, so can we continue?
Yes, sir.
So you look at what symptoms you will look at to enable you to diagnose a child to be suffering from from conduct disorder. He's bullying and threatening others. He's being physically unkind to others. He's showing no regret for the misdeeds. He's stealing from others. You can also notice he's running away from the home. He ignores the feeling of others, and he hurts others. He hurts animals. How can we treat conduct disorders? Medical treatment may be complex and continues for a very long time because changing the thought and behaviors of children take time. Do we agree? Are we together?
Yes, sir. Yes, totally agree with you.
Yeah, the health specialist must take information from parents. How is the child behaving? What do you think the child is doing that is not correct? It's like it's deviating from the normal way other children are behaving. You must also get information from teachers to understand how he behaves in school. And you can also get information from other medical specialists to help you define or design a proper treatment plan that will help that child. Psychotherapy and behavioral therapy are given to children to control their feelings and behavior. And you know, when we come to behavior, to psychotherapy, we're looking at ways to modify the child's behavior. And there are a lot of techniques under the behavioral therapy. We have the token economy, we have the aversive therapy, we have the reinforcement principles that can help, you know, modify the child's behavior, changing him from a conduct that is inappropriate to a conduct that is appropriate. And then special education can be provided to younger children who have learning disabilities in addition to conduct disorders. Medications are used for children with depression and anger issues and those who have attention difficulties as the case may be, and depending on the severity of their conditions. Is that understood?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
So let's look at learning disability as a disorder in children. Learning disability is a neurological condition where children find it difficult to read, they find it difficult to write, they find it difficult to listen, they find it difficult to reason or understand certain concepts. And this does not indicate that these children are lazy or are unintelligent. It only gives us an understanding that they have a slow information processing ability, or their memory processes information differently. Is that understood?
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
So you will observe that children with learning disabilities may excel in craft,
Really.
in technical aspects of education, other than in other aspects of education that require oral expression and the ability to write. And there are many types of learning disorders that we need to consider or we need to know. One of them is what we call dyslexia. Dyslexia is a learning disorder that involves a child's difficulty in reading. And the major problem is he is unable to identify speech, sound, and learning how to relate letters and words together. He's unable to read. He's unable to identify speech. You know, when children go to play group or to preschool or play group, the common things they learn is apple, ba, Ball. And you will also notice that they learn to, when you call sheep or when you say ba, 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 they know that it's the sound of the bleating of a sheep. When you say meh, they know is the bleating of a goat. When you say moo, they know is the mewing of a cow. Now, children who suffer this learning disability known as dyslexia, they find it very difficult to match sounds and speech to specific objects that produces such sounds. And then we have what is called dysphagia. Dysphagia. Dysphagia has to do with the impairment of the power to speak or understand speech. A child who suffers dysphagia is unable to understand speech. When you speak, he's unable to understand is what you are saying. He is unable to comprehend, to know exactly what you are saying. And this is as a result of brain injury that affects the language domain of the brain. You will notice that adults who have stroke and have been affected, their language domain has been affected. They find it very difficult to speak. They struggle to speak. So dysphagia in children impairs their power to speak. And then we have what is called dyspraxia. Dyspraxia has to do with difficulty in coordination as a child develops. It's also known as a development coordination disorder. It affects a child's ability to coordinate himself. He's unable to coordinate himself even when he's among other children. Do we understand these common learning disabilities?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So what causes learning disabilities? There are some causes of learning disabilities, and one has to do with heredity. And when we talk about heredity, we are talking about the role of biology in the onset of learning disabilities. The role of genes in learning disabilities. And we talk about illnesses or head injury after birth. Now, illnesses during, before birth, after birth, and injury after birth. It can also be injury during birth. Now, for men who are in the habit of physical domestic violence against their wives, so even when these women are pregnant, they wouldn't mind. They turn their wives into, they take them to a boxing ring where they box and kick them as if they are in a wrestling or in a boxing competition. Can also have, their actions can affect the child. And that child can come up with learning disabilities. Are we together?
Yes, sir.
Hello?
Yes, sir. We are
Yes,
together,
sir.
It seems we are not together.
We are together, sir.
We are, sir.
We are
Okay.
very much with you, sir.
Okay. So we also talk about alcohol consumption during pregnancy. Remember, we're looking at the fetal alcohol spectrum disorder, and we're talking about alcohol, fetal alcohol syndrome as one of the disorders, group of disorders under the fetal, the FASD disorders. So when a woman consumes alcohol during pregnancy, it tends to also affect the child, resulting to learning disabilities. Premature birth and low birth weight also are some of the common causes of this disability. Poor nutrition. When a woman is pregnant and is not feeding well, or even during after childbirth and she's not feeding well, it tends to affect the child's capacity to learn well. Then exposure to toxins found in paint, ceramics, or toys, or even in hospitals such as X-ray radiations also tend to cause learning disabilities in children. And disorders such as attention deficit and hyperactive disorders are common causes of learning disabilities amongst children. Are we together?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
So
Yes, sir.
So you will notice that children with learning disabilities may write reverse letters or words and numbers, and they may also face difficulties in differentiating between right and left. They find it very difficult following and remembering instructions that are handed over to them. They find it difficult writing, cutting, or drawings. Remember, I had earlier told you that children with autism spectrum, children with attention deficit hyperactive may be very good in craft. But children with learning disabilities have difficulty in arts, such as drawing, and they have difficulties understanding concepts. They also have difficulties staying organized. Have you understood to that point?
No.
Have you understood to that point?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
So how can we treat learning disabilities? Learning disabilities cannot be cured. They can only be managed and managed effectively. And this is done with the combined efforts of the parents, the teachers, and the healthcare professionals. We have recommended some treatments such as providing help by having a tutor to teach the child at home. Because the child does not have the capacity to follow the teacher at the speed that he is being taught in the class. An extra help of having a tutor taking the child one-on-one will help improve his ability to learn. Taking the help of a special educator to enhance learning abilities. Thank God for the teaching hospital and the MD of the teaching hospital for giving us a school of special needs. You know, that's going to help us also have that's going to help the children, you know, access quality education without necessarily looking for it elsewhere. Are we together?
Yes, sir. We're together.
Together.
Okay. So, I will move to the next slide.
Okay, sir.
Yes, sir.
Okay. So we still talk about so
where we stopped? We stopped at treatment for learning disorder. How do we treat these disorders? Can we go through them again so that
yes, we're looking at treatment of learning disabilities.
we talk about treatment for
learning disabilities. And we see that it is the combined efforts of teachers and parents as well as healthcare professionals. I think that was the last thing we said.
Yes.
And I would say that when you provide extra help, to the child, a one-on-one teaching to the child, because he cannot be able to cope with the speed others are learning in the class, he needs a one-on-one interaction with the teacher at home to be able to cope. And I was saying that thank God for the school, the special needs school that is established by the teaching hospital to help our children or help children with special needs also learn in an environment that suits their own peculiarities.
I think we have one of such schools in Aliede too.
Yes. The school for the blind is there. The school for the deaf is there. And then we talk about providing therapy such as speech therapy and occupational therapy to help improve their writing skills and their occupational skills. Extra therapies may be given to these children also through the use of art, dance, or music to help them learn and understand concepts. So on the final notes, we'll give room if there are questions so that we can respond to them. If there are concerns, we can also address them at this point in time.
Yes, sir. My hand is up.
Yes, Martin.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
I come to thank you very much because you have done me a great service here. I've learned so much and I've gotten so much. Well, sir, the question is, there are certain children, I don't know whether to classify them as the learning disability children, children with learning disability. No matter what you do in trying to help them academically, there's nothing. They don't improve. They just to push them from one class to the other because of maybe age or some other thing. And then maybe, just maybe, in their secondary school, maybe in their SS classes, we just open once. And you see them excelling as if there is no tomorrow. Such kind of children, can they also be considered as children with learning disability, since they weren't able to even comprehend or do anything good in their primary down to even part of junior secondary school, and then all of a sudden the thing just changed. So how do we classify this kind of children? Or what is responsible for them not being able to comprehend anything at their junior, and then all of a sudden the thing opens some. Start with the primary school, by the time they enter secondary school, you see them doing well. So what's the secret behind this, sir?
Okay, thank you for that concern. I think that is also going to address the concern of others. I get that Sylvia, once I'm through with this, you can also ask your question.
Okay, sir.
I've seen your hand, ma'am. What I want us to understand is that there are a lot of factors. The number one factor is the foundation. You know, if you go to learning theories, there are 3 determinants of learning. And these determinants of learning are found in a triangular prism. There is the learner at one end of the triangle. There is the material to be learned at the other side of the triangle. And there is the instructor providing the instruction at the other side of the triangle. All these 3 determinants of learning must interact together and correctly for learning to be effective. Now, what are the variables that impinges on the learner's ability to learn? The number one variable is the readiness of the learner to learn. Is the learner ready to learn at the time instructions learning is taking place? Now, that determines his ability to comprehend. Now, when you go to the other side to look, you also look at the learner's age. You also look at the learner's environment. Then when you go to the material to be learned, how is the material to be learned structured? Is this structured from simple to complex, or it is structured from complex to simple, or it is interwoven that you cannot know how it is structured? So even a well-structured material, the learning material is there. What is the readiness of the instructor? What is the capacity of the instructor to provide the learning? You know, these are variables that affect learning. Now, for some children who are so dull, who are unable to understand concepts from primary school to secondary school, they are actually not ready to learn in the first place, most of the times. They don't understand the importance of learning. What is so important to you? Of course, you know, you attach a lot of value and preparedness to it. Even the Bible says, where a man's heart is, where a man's treasure is, there his heart is. So you will notice that learning at that point may not be the interest of the child. He takes learning as just normal play. But when he gets to a certain level, in reality, he begins to understand the importance of learning, and you see his concentration differs. And how will you notice his concentration has improved and differs? He will begin to ask questions from his mates and even from the instructor to have a deeper understanding and a clearer understanding of what he's being taught. Now, what we have today in our learning curriculum is actually a shame, because government has abandoned primary education, which is the foundation of education, in the hands of private individuals. It is abandoning, it has even succeeded in abandoning secondary education in the hands of private individuals. It has now moved to tertiary education, trying to hands off. So you can see the number of private universities coming up without a harmonized curriculum. So every university has its own curriculum that is different from another. Now, at the primary school, in the kinder level, a child comes home with 10 assignments. Who is to do those assignments? How can the child comprehend all the 10 assignments? And you see schools coming up with big adjectives to qualify their schools. Oh, we are giving you Cambridge curriculum. Oh, London curriculum. Oh, Oxford curriculum. And indeed, when you go to Oxford and Cambridge and UK and all of that, they don't have that curriculum they are presenting is alien to these countries. So the learner's readiness prepares him to success. Likewise, the learning material and the person providing the instruction. So it is very common. It is not that it's a learning disability, but they are just determinants of learning that have not actually been activated properly, depending on the situation the learner finds himself. Another chair, I don't know if I responded to you.
Thank you, sir.
Very, very understood.
Yes, I get that, Sylvia.
Question, sir.
Sylvia, are you
Yes,
there?
sir. Yes. Thank you so much, sir.
Thank
This
you,
lecture, I've learned so much. In short, I've been telling my people in the office that from now, I'll start working on myself. I'm not working on other people, but my own self. Yeah. So I joined the lecture late. The first disorder you were talking about, when I joined in, I came in at the middle. I heard the attributes were reviewing my sons. I was seeing my son in them. Please, sir, can you please go back a bit on the first one?
Okay, we spoke about attention deficit and hyperactive disorder. Yes.
I missed out on that.
Okay. We were saying that in attention deficit, Tete, when we are through with Sylvia, you can also put up your question. So we're saying that attention deficit and hyperactive disorder, children who experience this type of disorder have difficult paying attention. They have difficult focusing and concentrating. Their hyperactivity is something else. They are here, neither here, they are not there. it's very difficult for them to sit in one place for a long time. I will say that a child cannot just be labeled to suffer attention deficit and hyperactive disorder, except you will notice a continuation of these symptoms occurring for a period of time, a significant period of time. And this is affecting their daily functioning. Daily functioning such as wearing clothes, keeping their rooms clean, arranging their books, arranging their clothes at home, in school, taking time to copy assignments from on the board, doing their homeworks correctly. And when you take them to social settings, you will notice that other children are composed, but in reality, they are not. So majorly, it is characterized by difficulty in paying attention to details and making careless mistakes that are actually avoidable. So they also find it very difficult to listen, when they are being spoken to. You are talking to them, they are busy doing something else. They are restless, they are fidgeting, they have inability to sit in one place. When you say sit still, before you blink your eyes, you see them running somewhere. You are calling them to come back and sit here. And when you are talking, they are interrupting you. They want you to hear their own side of the story. So when they have heard your own side of the story, when you have heard their own side of the story, they don't want to hear your own side of the story. They have gone. And they find it very difficult in engaging in activities that are quiet. I don't know if that is well understood.
Yes, sir.
It's all right.
So I can see this attribute so much in my son. I don't know. I've been battling. I've been struggling with it. So scattered, so disorganized. Everything you are talking about here reveals in him. How do you handle such a person?
Okay, children with attention deficit and hyperactive disorder are handled using behavioral therapeutic approaches. Now, there are these behavioral therapeutic approaches that you can also adapt on your own. And you can adapt the principles and you can see them working for you. Remember, they are not magic, that you can expect a sudden change. The change is gradual. Just like I said in yesterday's class, that abnormal behaviors are learned. And for a child to do away with them, he must unlearn them. So what behavioral techniques, therapeutic techniques help us to achieve is to help us unlearn, identify these behaviors and unlearn them. So for him, you can adapt, you can adapt eclectic therapeutic approach, multiple therapeutic approach. Multiple in the sense that when you adapt one therapeutic approach, it may tend to fail, they may become used to it, and they may tend to pretend. Now, you may adapt what is called aversive therapy. Aversive therapy has to do with introducing punishment at certain intervals, withholding pleasure from them at certain points in time for them to be able to modify their behaviors. You can also use token economy as one of the behavioral techniques. Token economy means that if you are able to sit down here for 2 hours, you will earn a token. And that token could be a chocolate. That token is going to be converted into a chocolate. That token is going to be converted into a drink. And that token is going to be converted into what they like. So as they exhibit these behaviors, they are earning tokens. And then you can also be able to improve that behavior. You can also use what we call reinforcement techniques. And what do we mean by reinforcement techniques? Reinforcement has to do with technically anything that has the probability of increasing the occurrence of a desirable behavior. Now, you can introduce motivation. If you do this, if you are able to achieve this task, sitting in one place, writing your assignment, if you go to school for 1 week and consistently, you have copied your notes carefully for 1 week, I will take you to a zoo. I will take you to the zoo. Now, remember also that reinforcement techniques have saturation points. Just as in economics, the law of diminishing returns have a saturation point. The law begins to diminish. Reinforcement also diminishes. So while you are doing reinforcement techniques, you also need to also be developing withdrawal techniques of reinforcement so that that behavior can occur again and again without necessary reinforcement, and it can be sustained at that point continuously. Have I responded to you?
Yes, sir. Thank you so much, sir. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank
Yes,
you,
Titi.
sir. I even wanted to ask the question, but you have clarified me.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, Titi, you were also raising up your hands.
Okay,
Hello?
if Tete is not there, let me just.
Okay, go ahead. Wait.
Okay, sir. My own is concerning narcissistic personality disorder.
Yes.
Actually, when we discussed this, I wanted to ask a question, but unfortunately, within the circumstance I found myself, I was not able to say that. Now that the environment is clear, I just want to ask it actually. If you are a person who has found yourself within someone with that kind of personality, how do you handle that situation for your own sanity?
Sorry, I was a little bit distracted.
Okay.
That when you have
if you have someone with a narcissistic personality disorder around you, who,
yes,
how do you actually handle that person so that maybe you can safeguard your own sanity, because they manifest symptoms of aggression and grandiosity and all of that. So how do you, who are around such a person, handle the situation?
okay, you will notice that people with narcissistic personality are egocentric. So changing them within the context of their social structure becomes difficult. But it is also expected that the existential school of thought says that he who has a why to live must cope with almost anyhow. You may tend to, in order to avoid much disagreement that may degenerate into physical abuse or verbal abuse, you may quietly listen to their assertions of their superiority, knowing fully well that it is not so. Or you can avoid them. You can avoid such persons. You can stay away. Now, when you stay away and they have value for you, and they inquire to know why you are staying away, at the point of needing you as a person, either for social interaction or for whatever need that these questions prompt up, you will be able to point to them one or two attributes of theirs that are actually causing a problem to you and others, to see if they can be able to agree with this point. And once they're able to agree, then the change process begins. But when you don't have that capacity to do that, then it is better to avoid or to almost cope with anyhow, like the existential school of thought have asserted.
Wow, thank you, sir. Thank you very
You're
much.
welcome. Thank you. Okay, it's our time to proceed for break. We'll be taking the last lap of our course when we return from break, looking at the interventions of social standards development in psychopathology. So do have a wonderful break time. We'll meet once it's 1 p.m.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Hello, class.
Yeah.
Hello, closer.
Good morning.
Good morning or afternoon.
Oh, join.
Good afternoon.
Oh, join. Oh, join, like you said. Good afternoon, yeah.
So guys, this is for those who are yet to put their name on that class register. I was given a time frame to send that to the course lecturer. Kindly attend to it now before the beginning of the next class, because I will have to send it and rest as well. Please, let's treat this with a high level of urgency. Thank you.
I guess now let me end the meeting.
Yes, you can end the meeting, sir.
You can end the meeting now.
Is there someone wants to say something? Silas.
No.
You
Just
can
end.
end now. You can end the meeting now.
All right.